That's right.
The best show for Chicago.
Breeze Nation, what is good? It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Appreciate y'all for tuning in to show and love as always, man. Another beautiful day. Another opportunity to be with the Breeze Nation and have a great show. Got a lot to get into on today's episode. As want to talk about the only situation with what we've seen this season where I feel like I want to see this Bears team get involved in the trade deadline. Also, talk about where we really need to see this offense start to get itself together ahead of this matchup versus the Bengals. And ladies and gentlemen, we got a little good vibes around Chicago. The Hawks are dominating, and the Bulls offense has been unlocked. I want to talk about that a little bit as well. All that and more in today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Date is 10/29/2025. It's 7:06, and Chicago's up. Let's go. I think Chicago might be up, y'all. And I ain't just talking about a weight. I think the city might be up, baby. We got sports teams all over the place out here dominating. What's going on? Bears are 4-3. Blackhawks out here 7-3 win. Who are these all? Chicago Bulls 3-0. Sweet Jesus. Let's keep this going. I like these vibes. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do.
Come on. Push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push the button.
You heard what she said.
Y'all heard what Sue Young said. Hit that like button, man. Subscribe to the page. Make sure you are thumbs up in the video and hitting that hype button as well. All of those things do help the channel continue to grow and help us to reach a new audience. A lot of talk around the NFL trade deadline right now. I've heard, a ton of trade scenarios, trade breakdowns that people want to see the Chicago Bears go out there and make. And I'm not mad at, people that I'm not mad at the idea, I should say, of the Bears making a move. I wouldn't want to see, the Chicago Bears just make a move to make a move, but I'm not mad at the idea of, trying to add to this team and get better this season. But there is, to me, only certain scenarios where it truly makes sense for the team. What do I mean? I think right now, you have a head coach in Ben Johnson who's trying to figure out who he has on this team that is a part of the future successes. I believe it was Coach Ditka who said, we are going to win a Super Bowl. Most of you won't be here. I feel like that's what this year one of Ben Johnson, as we continue through, and it doesn't mean that they're going to try and stop winning. Doesn't mean that they're not, they're not going to go out there and compete and that they're going to blow this team up and bottom. I'm not saying any of that. But what I do think that it means is that you're in a real evaluation period right now. And what comes with an evaluation period is you have to figure out, okay, who is on the train and who's off. And I think that muddies the waters when you start making small tweak deals as you move forward. Right? I know there's a lot of people that are looking around at some of these pieces that may be available. And you say, oh, well, we can just give up a 5th rounder and go out there and get that guy. I think that's a mindset that you want to avoid in a new regime. And right now with Ben Johnson here, you do have a completely new regime that's available to you. I think that's a mindset that if you're the Chicago Bears right now, you don't just want to give up draft capital to get pieces in here that plug some of the bleeding at the DB position where you definitely need some help over there with all the injuries and the guys banged up that we've seen there. I don't think that you need to I don't think you need stopgap pieces. So my only scenario, honestly, where I would like to see the Chicago Bears go out there and make a move is if you're moving on from or bringing back a major piece that is a part of this team or could be a part of this team. And when I say a major piece, I mean like a mainstay that we thought was going to be here. So obviously, right, the big one right now, due to contract situation. And honestly, just because I think the penalties say a lot. The guys who have been often penalized are probably the ones who won't be a part of the future of this, because I think when you start to build things out, when you start to try and find, the people who are going to fit Ben Johnson's systems, right? The guys who are jumping for false starts, the guys who are offsides, the guys, all of those guys, I would say those are going to be the names, especially when you continue to do it. Those are going to be the names that are first to go. So a guy to me who I feel like we've talked about as far as penalties a ton is Cole Kmet. If the Bears were to move on from Cole Kmet to try and bring back draft capital, I wouldn't be opposed to that. Or if you were moving on from Cole Kmet to try and bring in somebody who you felt fit a little bit better with the team, or who Ben Johnson has a relationship and knows isn't going to be an often penalized guy and stuff like that, like that would be kind of a situation where I would be intrigued by it. But again, I would only want to, I'm in this mode where it's like, I would really only want to get back draft capital if you were going to make that decision. Because if you're finally going to move on from one of the higher paid tight ends, who I think if you threw him the football more probably could have a ton of impact. If you're going to move on from one of those pieces, I don't just want you to bring a stopgap piece in. Now, if you bring in a filler and a draft pick, that's different. But I think just bringing names in to try and readjust something right now, where if you get things right in the draft, which we got to have that conversation, probably after this week, I'll be having that conversation. Because it's about time to evaluate these moves that Ryan Poles made this offseason. But if you are going to go out and make a move, why make a move to bring back a player that you have to get adjusted to the culture and everything that you have right now, when you can just get back that draft capital, go out there and draft a player next year that maybe fits with what you want to do? Now, to me, and I know a lot of people are saying, you need help at DB. You got to figure out the DB position. You got to make DB work. You need pressure up front. That's the only world I live in. You need guys that can create pressure. I don't care what DB you get. If you do not have pressure up front, he will not be able to survive. If you're not forcing the ball out of the quarterback's hand quicker, it won't matter if you have prime Deion Sanders back there. So the only scenario, in all honesty, that I would like to see the Bears go out and trade draft capital for a player, or trade somebody for a player, is in a world where I'm getting back somebody who can create constant pressure. The Bears don't have a single player on their roster right now. A single player on their roster right now who's top 40 in pressures in the NFL. You know what the Bears didn't have last year? A single player who was top 40 on the roster in pressures. That's unacceptable. You have one of the highest paid defensive lines in football. And you're allowing quarterbacks to sit back there and relax. So for me, I'm not looking to see the Bears go out and make these major adjustments. I'm not looking to see the Bears go out and make these major trades at the deadlines for pieces that are stopgap pieces or for pieces who, you know, we see possibly a part of this Bears future, but you got to see how they fit in. I would rather see this Bears team. I think that I'll say this. The 4 wins are not lost on me. I think your defense is good enough right now for you to get through this season. I understand that they're banged up. Sometimes you got to deal with the injuries that are there. Doesn't mean you go out and you make team shifting decisions based on the injuries. The expectation is that you're going to get Tyreek Stevenson back. But if you're going to go out and you're going to make a trade, if you're going to go out and you're going to try and add somebody to this team, add somebody in the spot where you thought Dio Odangbo was going to be effective. He's literally one of the least effective pass rushers in football right now. And where I thought he was going to be incredibly effective was at stopping the run. Not great at that either. Go out and find somebody that could put pressure on a quarterback on a consistent basis. You have one of the highest paid defensive lines in football. And Snoop Huntley gets to sit back there, make a sandwich, call the wife, check on the kids before he puts the ball in the air. I would rather see you figure what you have out here than go make a team-changing move this season that you're giving up draft capital to try to add a piece. Now, are there some pieces that maybe you want to move on from, right? I know a lot of people say DJ Moore. I don't think DJ Moore is going anywhere. I know a lot of people look at Cole Kmet. I think he could be a name that's on the outs because you went and traded for a tight end. And the lack of usage on tight ends in the building right now. I think that, you know, I don't think there's anyone on the defense really that's on the out right now. I think maybe the Bears could possibly trade for some running back help, but I think that Ben Johnson kind of is comfortable and with what he has right now at the running back position between Swift and Monangai. I think you have enough to get through this season. Do I think you have enough to get through this season and win a Super Bowl? No. But I also didn't think the Bears were going to win a Super Bowl. Do I think you have enough to get through this season and be a 9-8, 10-17? Yes. At a certain point, players got a plan. You got to figure out which players that are a part of this roster are going to be the ones making plays, and which players are a part of this roster are going to be the ones that you're telling to pack their bags by the end of this year. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. Be down to talking with you guys as well. We're going to keep the show moving along here. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Big shout out to y'all in the chat. Let's see. Well, we got Ebony Sales in the building. Ebony always here. Said Dio is supposed to be the win now guy, and he isn't, but the D line is winning the line of scrimmage consistently and changing the pocket shape. They didn't do it this Saturday. 3 pressures the entire day. And to be honest, they haven't gotten a ton of pressure on many of the quarterbacks this year. They're in fact in, I believe, the bottom 5 in pressures this season. It's not good enough with the defensive line that you went out and paid. You shouldn't be bottom anything in pressures this season. And by the way, this is with Dennis Allen sending blitzes. You got to be able to get some kind of pressure on the quarterback, especially with some of the QBs that you're going to face. I'll tell you what, this upcoming week versus Flacco, you're 110% going to have to get pressure, because I don't care if he's 106. You let him sit back there comfortably with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins out there. Oh, he'll pick you apart. In fact, the one thing that to me has Flacco as a better quarterback now than he was when he was in Baltimore is that he's finally gotten to the age where he's like, I don't want to get hit. I'm throwing to the first person that's open. This ball coming out fast. Ain't nobody touching me. We'll keep this thing moving along here, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love as always. We're going to take a quick break here, listening to a word from our sponsor at Aura. But on the other side of this, I want to talk about how this Bears team can get this offense moving in the right direction, and how, versus a Bengals team that right now, you got an opportunity to bounce back here in a major way. How do they get Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams back on the same page? We'll talk about all that and more coming up next. First, listening to a word from our sponsors at Aura. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and watching the show. Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Aura. Have you ever done a Google search on your own name? You'd be surprised what pops up. Your full name, email address, home address, health records, your relatives. It's all out there. And that's why I've been using Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests just for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it protects me from hackers who could use that information to help them access my social media, bank accounts, and other sensitive information. It's really simple to set up. I don't have to download several apps or go to things like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft, but you can get all of that in one place with Aura. I get everything at one affordable price as well. You may already have one or two of these tools, but not having Aura is like leaving the front door locked while leaving the back door and windows wide open. For you to be able to take advantage of Aura, we got a special deal for you here today. Stop data brokers from exposing your personal information. Go to my sponsor at https://aura.com/the Windy City. Again, that is aura.com/the Windy City to get a 14-day free trial and see how much of your information is being sold. Breeze Nation, what is good? It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Ladies and gentlemen, we got merch. That's right. New website, new merch, all out. We've been telling you guys to pull up on us. Now you can at twcbreeze.com, where you can find out all of the latest stuff going on. What all can they find there, Super Producer?
Listen, you can join the nation, sign up to our mailing list, and be up to date for events and news. You can also visit the shop page and order merch, because we have t-shirts, we got hoodies, we got mugs, we got hats, we got all kind of stuff. So, hey, we appreciate you being tuned in with us. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube page and follow us on all our socials. Check us out at twcbreeze.com.
He's way too excited.
I am.
Welcome back.
The best show for Chicago sports.
I got you, Brandon Green. Said we getting that merch commercial because I need that. I'm at the gym and need that pump. Most hated Chicago, and welcome to the Breeze Superfan. Shout out to you, my boy. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. We're gonna keep this thing moving along, man, because listen, Chicago Bears have a matchup this week that, for all intents and purposes, should allow this offense to get back on track. And I know a lot of people want to look at this Ravens game and say, oh my God, this defense was atrocious, and they should have been dominated the entire time. Yeah, well, we might have underestimated the impact of bringing back those dogs over there. Actually had Roquan Smith, Marlon Humphreys. I mean, we might have underestimated what bringing them back on the field really was going to provide early on. I thought there might be a little bit of a, hey, like let's work it back in there. Let's get it. Let's get it back into the process. Yeah, I mean, let's smooth it, ease ourselves in, if we will. Now, they showed up that first day and said, we're back. Oh, okay. My bad. Apologies. So I think that defense, you got to give a little bit more credit to them. This Bengals defense, you do not. This Bengals defense ranks just about dead last in every single scenario. I mean, you want to talk about pressure. You want to talk about pass yards allowed. You want to talk about run defense. You want to talk about whatever scenario. Overall, this is the 30th ranked defense in football. And I mean, honestly, it's if you can't get right versus this defense, I think you do have to ask some real questions. I think you do have to ask some real questions, because this is a defense that, and Trey Hendrickson right now, while he did come back in that last game versus the New York Jets, he re-aggravated that injury that was plaguing. I think it was a calf for Trey Hendrickson. Let me look that up. Or maybe a hip. But he re-aggravated that injury that was plaguing him during that game. And so we'll see if he's going to be out there. If he is, we know, right? Trey Hendrickson can be a game wrecker all in itself, hip injury. And apparently he has already been ruled out versus the Bears after re-aggravating that injury. So there is that. Limited practice on Wednesday, Thursday before sitting out entirely on Friday at one injury. No, this is from, okay, never mind. This is from the game. Never mind. He hasn't been ruled out. That was from the game. Either way, though, the situation right now that you're in, and I think when you watch the tape, and Ben Johnson talked about this yesterday, you truly saw some horrible moments, the interception, the intentional groundings, the 2 intentional groundings, not running out of bounds, just bad decision making. But where you see growth is Caleb Williams' willingness to take the passes that Ben Johnson wants to see him take. And Ben was talking about how he was taking a lot of the underneath routes. He was taking a lot of the easy passes that the defense was giving him throughout the day. The few times he wanted to play Superman are what bit him in the butt. To me, that is growth in the right direction in the conversation of the quarterback, because what we've seen through the first few weeks is Caleb Williams trying to play Superman more times than not. Sometimes it's working, sometimes it isn't. Sometimes he gets the deep shot, sometimes he doesn't. In this game, I thought he was much more prone to taking the underneath route, to hitting Olamide Zaccheaus, who the biggest, I'll say this, on top of all the issues we have with Caleb Williams coming out of this week, and I think some people have, some people are ready to jump off of the entire Bears train altogether based off of the one game. But I think as a whole, getting Ben Johnson's part of the offense back on track, we got to figure out why Olamide Zaccheaus is running so short of the sticks. Like, there were passes to me that Caleb makes to the right read, but he's 2 yards short of the sticks. There were passes to me that Caleb makes where, hey, there's nothing downfield. There was one play, third quarter. Bears are in third down situation. You got man coverage on the field. Literally, Rome is covered. DJ is covered. Colston is covered. The only look is to OZ, and he's legitimately 2 yards short of the sticks. So is that the route depth, or is OZ not running the route correctly? Again, these are things that are fixable. OZ catches the ball, brings it in. But they are things that I think are slanting the viewpoint of drives that have been ended short of the sticks. And you don't have the confidence in where this offense is at right now to say, you know what, though? Let's go for it on fourth down, no matter what. Or even in, again, right, getting this offense right. And I think you have to have this conversation as an offense, because while I'm willing to talk about the failures that we've seen from Caleb Williams at this point, and they're there, you also got to talk about the failures of this offense. Because, Bears just made a signing. How about that? Little breaking news. Bears are signing safety Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to the active roster after a visit yesterday, per his agent. We got a little breaking news here. Kevin Connor and Robert Brown of Unisport Management. Gardner-Johnson now reunites with Bears DC Dennis Allen, who coached him with the New Orleans Saints. Well, a little breaking news there. How about that? That's per Adam Schefter. Well, as we talk about getting this offense right, looks like the Bears are a little bit more focused on adding to that safety position and getting this defense right. I'm not mad at a CJ Gardner-Johnson signing, but it is a name that has definitely been over the hill for a little while now. CJ Gardner-Johnson, still 27 years old. He's got 18 interceptions in his career. He is another one of those takeaway guys that we've talked about. The biggest thing that has plagued him over the last few years has been the injury issues. In Detroit, remember, he only played, I believe, 3 games that season. In Houston, he was only able to play 3 games. But when he was out there for the 16 games, I don't know why they listed him as safety, but CJ Gardner-Johnson could play corner. But he could play anything on the field. That was kind of his thing, that he was the DB. He could play free safety. I think in New Orleans at the time he played linebacker. I think he did play strong safety in Philly, where I want to say he ended up winning a ring and was in line for the comeback player of the year. I'm not mad at the signing. That's not bad. A little breaking news right there. But another takeaway guy added to the team. In his career, as I'm looking here right now, he's got 18 turnovers in his career. He had 6 interceptions when he was in Philadelphia. Both times he was in Philly, he had 6 interceptions. His time with Dennis Allen, the most he ever had was 3. Forced fumbles. He had 1 forced fumble rookie year with DA and a fumble recovery. But he has been a turnover machine. We'll see what he is in the locker room. But I'm not mad at the Bears going out and signing a CJ Gardner-Johnson right now. I mean, it depending on what the contract is, depending on what he's able to do, I think that you're hopefully taking what I would call a low budget chance. And I think that, he brings a little spice to that locker room. What are you guys feeling about CJ Gardner-Johnson right now? He can always play nickel. Gordon always hurt too. Yeah, listen, he can fit in just about anywhere. Most hated Chicagoan said nice pickup. Jacob Bailey dropping it. He knows the system. Yeah, listen, knows it well. The attitude of a CJ Gardner-Johnson as well, I think, brings something to this defense. Maybe a guy who comes in and calls out some of the mistakes. Now, you don't want to be that guy right away, right? You don't want to be the guy who is what's the right word? You don't want to be the guy who's pushing the wrong buttons early on. But I think that as far as a conversation, as far as a veteran in the room that can get some of these guys, remember, Nick McLeod is there, Nashawn Wright is there. These are guys that haven't had that opportunity that maybe can coach them up in a little bit of a different way. I'm not mad at that. So Chicago Bears just signed CJ Gardner-Johnson. I don't know what the contract is. I don't know what the terms are as of yet, but that is per Adam Schefter. I guess I should change the name of this video here. He still got what it takes to play corner. He got moved to safety for a reason. Listen, I think that to me, the conversation on, him getting moved to safety it depends on where he's at in the system. I'll say that. Dennis Allen's system, very different than Vic Fangio's system. So in Vic Fangio's system, I think he was a better safety. I think in DA's system, you also, like I said, you saw him play some linebacker at times. Like you saw him moved around the field, very similar to how we move Jaquan Brisker around the field. So we'll see kind of how that works out. Not a bad move. Not a bad move, man. He could be the one that will blitz like Gordon did. Yeah, he definitely could bring that pressure. He definitely can bring the pressure off of the edge. I like I'll say this, to me, if you're talking about anything with him right now, it is, I think, as Steve-O said, the attitude. If you're, to me, like, I'm not going to sit here and say I thought that this young man was dominant, but the two things that I think that he will help you with, number one, the run defense. When he was in, I think it was Baltimore was his last spot, he was a big part of that. When he was in Philly, he was a big part of that run defense as well. Like, for what's out there on the streets right now, for you to go sign somebody who I would assume you're signing them to a low budget kind of deal right now, a cheaper deal, something to get you kind of through these next few weeks and maybe something that helps you, in the long run. I'm not mad at the signing. I'm trying to see here if we got any other update from Shefty on whether on what the contract details are, I should say. It doesn't look like anything as of yet. But again, not a bad move. Kenny Adams said, good signing for what's available in free agency. Don't have to give up draft capital for that position. Yeah, and I want to know what he still has as far as the takeaway ability as well. We've seen Kevin Byard be reinvigorated in this defense with his takeaways. Can you bring a guy in like that who coming off of the edge, you can play him close to the line, he can get to the quarterback, he can bring that pressure, and you can have that dynamic with him and Jaquan Brisker. On top of that, you also can have that dynamic with him being a part of that backfield, that defensive backfield that is able to take the football away. Like, I don't hate this signing at all. Dare I say, kudos Ryan Poles here. dare I say, kudos Ryan Poles. Now, what I will say is this: the big question, though, with a move like this, going out to get a guy like CJ Gardner-Johnson, is the expectation that Kyler Gordon's recovery is simply going to be short term? Because at least from what we've heard from Tyreek Stevenson, while it may be week to week, I don't think it's expected to be that he's going to miss a ton of time this season. Now, Gardner-Johnson, not a DB, but to me, this speaks more to the Kyler Gordon aspect of the injury. Is there a concern here where is there a concern here where it's like, we may not expect him back this season? The IR stint was supposed to be short term, but I would think if you're signing CJ Gardner-Johnson, while you see the dynamic, and I will say this, you don't want to lose that. The dynamic that you have between Brisker and Gordon together, I think makes this defense so much better. You saw in that first game without them together yet again, kind of how that can fall off quickly. But are you signing CJ Gardner-Johnson if you think it's just a 4-week injury? Maybe you are. I mean, he was available. You want to get through these 4 weeks. Maybe you are. But to me, that sounds like a guy that you expect to be battling something for a little bit of time here. Or, and I know it's only first year of him being signed, you're talking about a guy that may not be a part of the future of what the Bears want to do. Now, again, I'm not going that far. I'm just saying the conversation that we just had about what this Bears team wanted to do, the conversation that we just had about how, how there's going to be people that we think are a massive part of this team that may not be a part of this team in the future. It's probably going to be some guys you don't expect. It's probably going to be some guys you don't expect. Teams don't get rid of him because of his on-field play. Yeah, listen, you got to manage him in the locker room. You do. You got to manage him in the locker room. CJ Gardner-Johnson is not somebody who shies away. He's not somebody who isn't vocal. He's not somebody who isn't going to say how he feels. He's been one of those guys on the field that has afforded that kind of situation. But if you manage it, he's a heck of a player. And I'm okay. I'll be honest with you. Bears fans, tell me if I'm wrong here. I know we're supposed to get to a Bulls topic here, but may not happen now with the breaking news that we got here. CJ Gardner-Johnson, if you're just joining us, has signed with the Chicago Bears and will be a part of this team for the foreseeable future. I'm okay signing somebody who's not a church boy. I'm okay signing somebody who's gonna be a little bit more, dare I say, toe the line. Because if we're being honest, we don't sign those pieces. We don't sign those guys who are the borderline players that have attitude, and we sit there and we watch those guys around the NFL and we go, wow, he really can play. We don't draft, as Letty just brought up, the Jalen Carters. We don't draft the guys who have concerns around them. I hate to tell you this. Football's a violent game, and it's pretty mean on the field. Football's a game where your intention is to hurt the guy on the other side. Not to injure the guy on the other side, but to hurt the guy on the other side. To me, this is a very surprising move based on the kind of guys that Ryan Poles has gone out there and signed, the good personality guys. So I'm not mad at this one. And Jacob Onadine, CJ with Al Harris, hands may be thrown. There may be a few different conversations happening in that building. Because now you've got somebody in the building who also has that cachet as far as a player, who also can stand on his own 2 feet and say, this is what we've been doing. Your job is to fit in with that. Now, again, is this a long-term move? Is this, to finish out the season? I don't know. I'm not going to say that you can guarantee that this is going to be, the end-all be-all move for the Bears this season, but I like the aggressiveness that he brings. I like the versatility that he brings. I like the fact that you can play him in so many different positions, and I think him and Brisker next to each other is going to be absolutely dangerous, and he's young. Sometimes it's about finding the right dynamic. I'm not sitting here saying that the Bears are going to get CJ in here and he's going to change, his ways and not be, trying to, move or be the vocal guy that he has been in the past and not be somewhat of a disturbance like we've seen in the past. But I will say this. Was he banged up in Houston? Was he banged up in Houston, or did Houston just release him? What was the last with Houston? One of the teams outright released him. I don't think it was Philly. He finished the year with Philly because I think he go to the Super Bowl, or did he get a ring? Got a look on here. 27 years old. But anyway, I'll say this to that point. He was with the Ravens. He was with the Ravens in 2025, right? And then I think he played 16 games in Houston. He was with the Ravens in 2025. End up getting he's with both of them in 2025. So he was with the Ravens and Houston. One or the other. Somewhere in there, he ends up getting released. My point being, when you get put out of the NFL, you start to fall in line if you want to get back in. When the NFL says we don't need you, you're good. You tend to go, oh snap, hold on, maybe it's me. How many guys have we seen do that around the league? When the NFL goes, hey, you're a great player, bro. You stay over there though. And your agent is calling around the league and you're a great player and you got all these opportunities and you got and then they gone. There's no other league you could play in. You can't go overseas like the NBA. Second Savage City, that's what it was. He said Houston had him gone within 3 days. Yeah, bro, like, hey, we don't want you. We don't like what you're doing here. Like those are you start seeing those moments. All right, let me dial it back a bit. Let me be me, but let me be me within the lines of this game. So we'll see how this ends up working out. I like the move. I think this is going to be a big move. If it does happen here where he fits in with everything that Dennis Allen wants to do. Again, he's got that time with Dennis Allen. Yeah, Douglas Key, he was traded to Houston and Philly and then released by Philly. Traded to Houston from Philly and then released by, I think you meant Houston, then picked up by Baltimore for the practice squad and released by them. Yeah. Shout out to Hezo. He said, what's up with the thumbs, y'all? Y'all fingers broke or something? Thumbs up. Big shout out to y'all, man. We'll see how this works out. At a minimum, we know we got a hitter on the team. At a minimum, we know we got somebody who kind of terrifying next to Jaquan Brisker. And I'm I'm excited to see what this is going to be for this team now. The versatility I like. I think that the opportunity to use him very similar to what you used with Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker next to each other is going to be extremely fun to watch. And hopefully Joe Flacco has a bad day. I would assume he's probably on the field pretty quickly here. And he's got a few up downs to do. Remember what was that from training camp? They got to do 50 up downs or whatever. So he got a few up downs to do. Let's see what we end up getting from CJ Gardner-Johnson. Let's hope that we can see some dominant play and some more takeaways, which he's pretty good at as well. Hey, man, appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love as always. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. This show took a turn, but that's what you do when you have live news, man. It's your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Big Bad Dons, one love. Let me know how you guys feel about the CJ Gardner-Johnson signing in the comments below. Peace.
Red Nation, are we here? The best show for Chicago sports. Oh my God!